this is Jenny Pivor, and welcome to Jenny's Muse. And this is my premiere show here at BevCam. What I am trying to do is bring a little bit of awareness to some under-the-radar things that I discover that I get a kick out of and I want to share with you. And hopefully you'll find that these things are enjoyable and enrich your life in some way too. So without too much further ado, I'm going to introduce my first guest. And I do want to say that you can look forward to other shows which are going to be on the arts or the occult or healing. And I can't really predict exactly where it's going to go. It's going to take some twists and turns, so you'll never know what you're going to see exactly, but I hope you'll tune back in often. So today, for my very first show, I am very proud to have Mary Baures, Dr. Mary Baures, with me. And the name of this particular show is Healing the World, One Mouse at a Time. And Mary Baures is an expert in healing. She is a psychologist in Beverly, Massachusetts, and she's written books on healing from trauma. And she has had a very interesting career trajectory in that she developed a keen interest in saving baby elephants in Africa. And she went there on different trips and has adopted 4 baby elephants, and she'll be talking about that. But she has also brought her whole healing back to a very, very tiny level in her hometown, where she has built a shelter in an undisclosed location in the woods. And we're going to see right now what Mary does and how she helps save the world just on a very local home-based level. And then we're going to take it to a larger arena. So before we go there, I just want to say hello to Mary. Hello, Mary.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to
be
see
here.
you.
Yes.
I'm so happy that you're here.
Yeah, me too.
So I think that we're going to understand more about what you're doing in this little woods house when we see the film. And after that, we're going to get back to what you've done outside of the woods, okay?
Okay.
On a larger arena. So can we see that little movie now? If you'd roll it, please. Hi, this is Jenny Pivor with Jenny's Muse, and I am going to introduce you today to Mary Baures, who is an animal lover. Mary is a psychologist and a nature photographer, a wildlife photographer actually, and she loves animals, all animals, and she's right here, and I'm going to show you Mary's bunny house. And this is because Mary is very adamant that all life is sacred, and this is a mouse house, a bunny house, and it turns out maybe even a squirrel house that she built, and she's going to tell you all about it. So Mary, I know how much you love animals, and I am so glad that you do what you do. I have to say that this is a surprise, and having a bunny house that you built here is quite amazing, and I would like you to explain how you built this, how you came to build a bunny house.
Okay, all right.
And show us what you do.
Okay, first of all, I love bunnies. And I was walking through this wooded area and I saw some bunnies. And when it started to be really cold, we had a terrible winter in Boston. We had a blizzard, and then we had snow on the ground with 10 degrees for about 3 weeks. And I thought, the bunnies are gonna starve. So I started coming over here and feeding them. And then after the blizzard, there was this third nor'easter, and I thought, oh my God, they're gonna...
Stop you. You just left the food out in the middle of...
No. So, yeah, I was carrots, apples...
And you just leave it out?
Yeah, all over,
Okay.
and it's gone. When I come back, it's gone. There could be other animals. There's a squirrel that eats some stuff, and there's raccoons, but I was trying to help all the animals, but I was thinking mostly about the bunnies.
Okay.
But all the animals, I think, were having a trouble with the winter because there was nothing to eat.
Sure.
So I put down stuff to eat. And then I got freaked out when it started to be the third nor'easter. and I thought that their den, wherever it is probably going to flood. So I had a dog crate. I had a dog that came in from another state, and I had dog crate in my house. So over there is a dog crate that I filled with logs, and I figured the bunnies, and I put some of the carrots and stuff in there, and they were gone when I came back, and so I wasn't sure that they were using it. And I kept away from it because I didn't want my smell next to it, because I figured maybe some other animals would use it.
Is that the crate right there?
There's a dog crate in there, over on that side, yeah.
In that side, okay.
Yeah.
We can't see it though.
So then after that, and every time it was nice enough to come out here, I would put food down and it would always be gone. So I was feeding all the animals, but I was thinking about the bunnies because I love bunnies.
How did you get from bunnies to mice?
Okay, so during the storm, it was like over about 10 degrees, and my pipes started to freeze. I live in a condo on the water. So the plumber came to fix the pipes, and they told me to leave the door open to the cabinet. So all the mice came up through the pipes and entered my condo, but I thought there was I thought there was only one, because my neighbor caught a mouse in a humane trap and said, "Yikes, I don't do mice," and she left it out. She left it out in the hallway, and I said, "I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it till spring." So I put it in this box, a plastic box, and I put some holes in it. So Houdini, within a day or two, had escaped and was in my condo, which I knew about. But I was putting water down, but I wasn't really putting food down. But I was noticing the dog food
Was disappearing.
Well, there were some little nibbles on the dog food.
Right.
So then more mice came because of the dog food, and also because I let them in because I was trying not to have my pipes freeze.
Yeah.
So I rescued, in humane traps, I rescued 15 mice. 3 of them were my neighbors, and I delivered them to this place here. But once I knew that I needed more space for the mice because they need hidey holes, I extended beyond the dog crate to all these branches. Now in there are a bunch of baskets with old socks and dog toys, so that
Can we peek in there?
I don't know. I don't think it's just it's just too much. There's too much. So after I put the baskets in, though, I didn't want them for the blizzard and all the water. I put plastic, so it would be some water gets in there, but there's 2 sections of plastic, so it's dry. So the mice, the 15 mice that I put down there, can stay dry in the blizzard. And then every couple days I come and feed them food.
And so what are you feeding them?
I feed them carrots, apples, dog food, cheese, and seeds.
And do you have a bowl that you put it in?
No. So
or you just throw it in, or what do you do?
Right,
Okay, she's going to feed
so
them.
what I do, and you can see that all of the food that I put in the last time is gone. And this is like the door. And then I put it in there and I throw it so it goes down. So the mice can probably exist in there. They can probably exist in there without coming out. So it goes down. So what I'm thinking in terms of predators, because now we're in the woods, there's predators that come. And I didn't want to put too much food in there because I figured the predators would get in there. So I put it there, and then I put it around here, so it's not like this big source of food that some predators might want to get to.
What predators are here?
Well, I don't know. I'm assuming there's raccoons. Mice are a really important part of the ecosystem because they are the food of foxes, hawks, all kinds of other animals.
So
Coyotes,
you're fattening
wolves.
them up for food for the other animals.
I'm keeping the cycle of life going.
Okay.
So, yeah. And so I do this every couple days. The food is always gone, and there's a squirrel. So every time I come, the squirrel is coming out.
Yeah, he was a pretty fat squirrel. I saw that.
Well, I thought the mice, they must be scared. You know, like this big squirrel, this is
Oh my
10
God, yes,
10
yeah.
times the size of them. But I figured they have to learn, the squirrel is not going to hurt them. The squirrel is a vegetarian. They have to we're training the mice what to do with the predator.
There's probably this little army of mice down there, you know?
Right, yeah.
They're battling it out over the food.
Yeah. And then sometimes I fill water with these things and put water down there. But according to my research, they can subsist on dew and they eat bugs. So my research told me to release them into places where there's lots of birds, because there's bugs and birds, but also that mice that live in buildings do not know how to build houses out in the wild. So that's why the dog house, because they have a structure just like the structure that they've been living in condos and stuff.
They're city mice.
Yeah, yeah.
But they came to you from the wild.
Well, we don't know. We don't know how we don't know how long they've been living in my condo building. But then, after I rescued these 15 mice who are probably freaked out because we're sitting here talking, the condo association put down all these traps. And you know, if you put poison in the environment, the poison that they kill mice with, you kill all these other animals, because all these other animals eat mice, foxes. So it's really important to not put poison in the environment, because people, you know, like we're so separate. We think that we can kill one target animal, but we don't. We kill all the animals that eat that animal, and we put poison into the world. So we have to be careful.
Good point.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll finish putting but I just, I put some down there so they won't have to get out, but I don't want to put too much out there because I don't want to like bait animals to go down there and get it.
Right. Well, this is like a big feeding frenzy waiting to happen, you know?
No. Well, you know, but I'm assuming that I'm still feeding the bunnies, because I'm sure they come over here and get all these carrots.
Well, I
that
hope
leave
so.
around.
I hope so. There's a bunch of really fat bunnies around, I'm sure.
Right.
Well, thanks, Mary.
Okay, well, I enjoyed sharing my little project here with you.
And I enjoyed seeing it. So welcome back. And Mary, that is just an amazing little side trip that we had. So tell me how you got to that place, because I know this book, Love Heals Baby Elephants, is a culmination of a lot of work. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that and your journey.
Okay, well, after spending most of my life as a psychologist, I took up wildlife photography, and I really got into going out in the wild and photographing animals. And as a result of doing that for many years, I started to change. I started to change the way I saw the world. I started to see how the cycle of life worked. The grass became an antelope or a zebra, which became a leopard and a lion. And you see up close what the cycle of life is like. And I think we, with our industrial scale destruction of wildlife, forest, poisoning the earth and water, are destroying the circle of life. And I think being out of the American culture for a long time really gave me a perspective on all the consumerism here. And, you know, I, as a person who treats people who are depressed, having a lot of stuff has not made us happy. And I see all my patients driving to jobs in which they do some kind of a mechanical job all day. They come back through traffic and they go to this house that they have a big mortgage on, and they repeat it, and they are not happy. And there's not a lot of values that they have other than paying for their stuff. And it's got them into a sort of jail of sorts. So, you know, I just came into doing all this wildlife stuff. I came into a fresh perspective. And so I started only after I got back from Africa and after I developed this new hobby did I actually look around to my brother and sister species and said, wow, look what we're doing, and look how arrogant we are. And I started to believe, or I started to realize that we in this culture are raised in a cult of superiority because we imagine ourselves more important than nature.
Well, I recall a quote in this book that just struck me as so powerful, where you say that, people kill these beautiful elephants so that they can make trinkets out of their ivory.
Right, a beautiful elephant, and all the babies are destroyed for this little
So
trinket.
tragic.
It's like we're turning life into things.
Yeah, and what are our values when we do
Well, it
this?
hasn't made us happy to collect a lot of things, but I think that there's other stuff going on, and one is that our government just sees animals as not having a value. And I think part of why that is, it's very similar to, this big march of the children about the gun lobby and how Congress has taken a lot of money from the gun law to allow these to contribute to the massacres. And I think that is happening throughout our culture. We see that because that's so vivid, all the massacres that we're having. But we see it in all parts of the culture. Like in Indiana, because some chicken farmers were complaining, the wildlife officials said, okay, we're going to kill all of the animals that come into yards. We're just going to kill them. And some of the people that are that rescue them are saying, oh my God, look what you're doing. So our government has officials that really don't value life other than human life.
So part of it, I think, is respecting other species as like cognizant beings.
Yeah, right.
And one of the points that you made so eloquently in this book, Love Heals Baby Elephants, is how human they are and how psychic they are and how smart they are. And I know as a dog owner that there's no question that, animals have feelings and souls, and, how can we ignore that? And it just kills me when I see animal cruelty.
Yeah.
So, what can people do to prevent that? What are your suggestions?
Well, so we are so ingrained in some of the values of our culture, we don't even know it. Like, we have given ourselves the earth and we take it away from the other animals. Well, Mother Nature didn't plan that. God didn't plan it that way. We are part of the circle of life, but we have tried to elevate ourselves above it. So we have to imagine our yards as something that we really don't own. It's part of nature and part of Mother Earth. And when animals wander into our yards looking for food because we made a shopping mall out of their
Right.
home, we don't go kill them. And we don't, if we don't want them there, we can do some kind of a humane trap and bring them to some other place far away. But we don't kill them. We can't play God. I think that Pope Francis is a brilliant man. He talks about how we're pretending that we're God, and we're not God. And nature, like the rivers and the streams and the animals, they're part of God's presence, a part of God's beauty. And when we kill it, we're just a ruthless exploiter. So we have this culture that's a ruthless exploiter. We have to stop some of the values that we're learning in our culture and think about it. Like in India, they have a whole program where they're teaching kids compassion for animals, which stops violence. And, it would be a long topic to talk about the violence in this country that's causing all the massacres. But it's part of our culture that there's a lot of violence in our entertainment, and that we see ourselves as above nature and above animals.
Well, also, we have so many more killings with guns in other countries, too.
Exactly, right.
Something has got to change. For me, when I think about the gun laws and the Second Amendment, it was written when, people had these shotguns and you had to load it like one shot at a time. and I don't even have the gun vocabulary to explain that properly. But I mean, now there's semi-automatic weapons.
So what we can do as parents, instead of having our kids spend all day on these video games where we blow stuff up and kill people, we can have them go out in the woods and build houses for animals. We can have them do life-giving things rather than life-taking things. We can have them build a garden. We can have them give coats to the homeless. We can have them do things that are compassionate and life-giving. These kids are into these games. They spend all day blowing. Every single one of the kids that are mass shooters are addicted to those video games. And when you stop the video game, then they go out and kill people. So if you don't get your kid addicted to blowing stuff up, then they're not going to be a mass shooter.
Well, actually, you know, you're a psychologist, so this is an interesting question. Are they doing this because they're addicted to video games, or are they doing video games to fill a void in their lives because they're lonely and alienated?
It's both. It's not either or. But we don't have to encourage kids to do that. If we teach them, okay, let's go build a garden, let's go save some animals, let's rescue dogs, rather than let's kill things all day, then we're not going to have these kinds of problems.
Yeah, except that the kids that are doing this probably don't have parents that say, "Oh, let's go plant a garden." You know?
Right,
I mean,
but,
you know,
right.
That's a problem, right?
Right. We as a culture have to step back and start to change some of our cultural values, because that's contributing to the massacres that we're seeing.
So, as a society, can this happen in the schools, or can there? I mean, you know.
Okay, so what's different about our culture now than when you and I grew up is all the kids addicted to these cell phones. They walk around, and that is really hard for the environment, because we take care of what we love. And if you don't even know anything about nature, if you spend all day in a room blowing people up or looking at a phone. I mean, most of these isolated kids that are school shooters, they connected with a group of other killers and mass murderer people that are fascinated with killing on the internet, because they don't have friends, but that's their group. And they used to tell the group, I'm going to go massacre some people, and they go, yeah, right on, go. I mean, that's their group. But
well, there's a desensitization with that kind of thing, and I know years ago I took karate, and I was with some friends, and I was able to watch a street fight in Harvard Square, and these were friends from karate, and it just sort of shocked me, first of all, that the street fight didn't even look real. It looked like something that I'd seen on TV.
Right.
And because you're so used to seeing that kind of thing. And then the second thing was that nobody from the friends wanted to go stop it. Right. And they could have, because nobody wanted to get involved. So
exactly.
Yeah, which is, I mean, something that is taught in karate, of course, but, you know, to walk away from a fight. But I guess, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, you just become, you know, desensitized to the actual violence when you see it because of the media.
Exactly.
So, I mean, other than banning cell phones and, you know, video games.
We need to get kids out in the real world and off of devices, because they're estranged from the real world. And therefore, if they love it, if they're in it, they'll care for it.
So I think you have mentioned some other suggestions that you have about things that parents can do or schools can do. What would you suggest?
I would suggest helping them critically think about the violence that they see. And this is a very important one. Most of those school shooters and people who hurt animals, they imagine themselves as warriors. Now, I went to Vietnam with a bunch of soldiers with PTSD, and war is a gruesome, horrific thing with unspeakable terror in it. It is not something glorious where, you know, you're the good guy and you go shoot all the bad guy. You might get your leg blown off while you're doing it. It is not this glorious place. So when kids imagine themselves as soldiers and trying to be this John Wayne kind of character, war is not like that. And
Right.
so that's one of the things. And let's not buy kids a bunch of war weapons, because what they do is they get into the soldier mentality. We want them to be in a compassionate, life-giving frame of mind, not in a life-taking frame of mind. The soldiers divide the world into enemies and comrades, and that's really not the way the world works. And then, when you see these trophy hunters out there feeling wonderful because they killed this poor animal, there was, that Petals, that Bill, and there was a disabled bear that was killed in New Jersey, and also there were some people with bears, with that whole bear slaughter, that were on the internet. Now, what does this tell? So we have a trophy hunter sitting there behind a bear who has a arrow through his nose, smiling. Well, what does it teach kids? It's wonderful and makes you happy to take away the life of another precious being.
It's so tragic.
But it's critical thinking. You have to say, that guy's got a lot of problems that he feels important by ruining the beauty in the world. And, you don't want to be like that. We don't want him to admire this guy because he killed something precious and take away the beauty in the world and to feel important. So you talk to him about the issues about somebody who would do that.
So I think the whole point of what we're talking about here is creating awe and having respect. And I think that I would certainly point everybody to read this book, Love Heals Baby Elephants, and which is great. But you have a couple of other books on trauma too, I know, and you have a website. Do you want to talk about that real quick and tell us?
My other book about trauma is Undaunted Spirits, Portraits of Recovery from Trauma. I interviewed Mike Wallace of 60 Minutes, Max Cleland, who was blown apart by a grenade in Vietnam and went on to become a senator. And then, and so it's a book on how you can approach trauma and come out of it in a positive way.
Great. And your website is?
LoveHealsBabyElephants.com and MaryBaures.com.
MaryBaures.com. Okay.
Yep. Great.
Excellent. And Love Heals Baby Elephants is just one word, no?
Right.
Right. Okay, so Mary, it's always an adventure to talk to you. And
Thank you.
I want to thank you for coming and sharing your thoughts and your special bunny mouse house with us.
It was nice to be here and share my hobbies with you.
Yes. And I'm hoping that, this will help reach people in some way and touch them. And I think you have an important message.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So this is Jenny Pivor with Jenny's Muse, and I hope you'll come back and watch us for our next show. We should be doing these once a month, and thanks for joining us.